So this comes from our friends at The Real Deal, Los Angeles. This is an industry real estate site all over the nation, but they do have their own Los Angeles edition. And it's entitled Harcum Family Buys in Highland Park. So Asana Partners sells 41K square feet portfolio in Figueroa for $28.7 million. So just in general, I won't go through the whole thing. But if you know where Kitchen Mouse is, that's one of the buildings there. The other one, not particularly sure where it is. But in general, it is the hot Highland Park Figueroa corridor that most of you should know. This was purchased by the Harcum family, who sold, I guess, a shuttered hotel in Rodeo Drive on Beverly Hills for $200 million, and they've got some change that they need to invest with. So anyway, any comments there, Darren, about Highland Park and the Figueroa corridor?
Just that Highland Park, both the York and Figueroa corridor, I think as much as, or clearly more than anywhere in Northeast, is so walkable. There's just so many commercial storefronts. So it's not surprising to see, as there has been for at least a decade now, some real money being pumped into those communities.
Yep. So there's that one. Let's take a look at another topic. This is a good one. So this is about the Vista Theater. Vista Theater was purchased by Quentin Tarantino, the director. And they have started. I've been driving by here because I live not too far away. And yeah, the sign's being redone. Obviously, the interior will be redone. And everybody has a love for this theater. It's Egyptian theme inside. It's a great theater. But we'll see how it looks. I think the idea was sometime in the fall, it should be ready to have its first screening. So I'm sure that'll be a star-studded affair.
A great example of restoration by somebody who has the money to restore. Right? It's not about making money on the showing a few movies for somebody like Quentin Tarantino. And preservation really works in situations like that. So, it's awesome that he's doing it.
Well, and his history, obviously he's a film lover, right? He first started at a video store somewhere, I forget where. And that was really his source of inspiration to become a director. But he purchased, I don't know, maybe it's 10 years ago now, an old theater on Beverly Boulevard. And my wife and I have been to a couple screenings there, and same idea, right? He loves film. He's got the money to preserve some of these great buildings and great theaters that obviously can't compete with these 18 theater mega theaters, but have their own charm.
They can't, and they don't need to make money on the front end. The great thing about it is that he can overpay, he can overinvest, and it's it's a project that he can feel great about, and it serves the community well.
Yep. Okay. Another one, and just to let you know where I'm pulling some of this from, I mentioned therealdeal.com earlier. This is from our beloved theeastsiderla.com. The publisher and editor over there, Jesus Sanchez, extremely dedicated to what's going on in Northeast Los Angeles. He's an Echo Park resident himself, long time. And, if you've got a little extra change, try to support them. They ask for donations, sponsorships from readers, and they do a lot of good work. So please check out, again, theeastsiderla.com. So this one is probably a little controversial, Darren. And you've got some insight into this, being a community leader down in Echo Park when it comes to development. So Sunset Boulevard development raises concern among Silver Lake neighbors. So Darren, you might, I know this stretch between Parkman and, let's say Lucille, at least, there's been a lot of development going on. So it reads here, plans to reshape a strip of Sunset Boulevard with multi-storied housing are facing blowback from residents. Silver Lake Coalition for Responsible Development was formed in response to 4 projects that would bring about 350 units of housing in a quarter mile between Parkman Avenue and Meachel Terena Street.
Yep.
They are the work of RYDA, a development company run by brothers Daniel and Ryan Newman, or Neiman rather. Coalition members say they want to ensure the projects stay within density and height limits, don't clog nearby narrow streets with traffic, and are subject to appropriate review. I'll skip down, but basically, I guess the complaint was the timing of this was not opportune. This was a while back, but update January 13th. The Planning Commission approved the project with additional units. So, yeah, there was a timing issue there. That's right. Oh, yeah. Between Christmas and New Year's, neighbors were notified of another forthcoming hearing, January 13th, about further concessions.
Sure.
So, yeah, all valid points, right? Density issues of parking, height, and those things. It's the kind of normal push and pull we talk about sometimes, Darren, right? Between developers and the citizenry.
It is. It's consistent. Nobody wants it in their backyard. It's really that simple. It always comes down to that. Some people are more tolerant of others, and Sunset Boulevard through our communities is deeply underdeveloped.
Mm-hmm.
It's a major thoroughfare through the city, and in addition to that, they have, based on the community plan,
Mm-hmm.
and council member engagement with those community plans, have agreed to keep it underdeveloped. With setting maximum heights like 3 stories, which is low for a major thoroughfare, but fine. The amazing thing is that you still get pushback, even when they're only hitting those numbers potentially of 3 stories and staying within the guidelines. What pushes those things outside of the guidelines these days are the need to have housing. So sometimes they'll allow additional housing, less parking if it's on a major thoroughfare, but my issue is always, you need housing. You can't, theoretically, you will hopefully hit a point where the volume of inventory will now help regulate the cost of housing. Because right now, the underdevelopment of housing pushes the prices high, and then those prices are limited by the city, and it's just, they're in conflict. It doesn't make sense. So we need more housing.
Well, the other thing too, and I don't have like their full history, but the Neiman brothers, they are part of this community. One of them runs Tender Greens, the restaurant up the street. I think they have deeper roots than we might think. And with that in mind, I think they're going to have to certainly listen to the neighbors in some respect and address some of these issues, or they just won't be good neighbors. That's it.
Yeah. And I get it. And I'll say this, there's nothing wrong with making money and building housing. So that's like the first approach at so many of these community events, that you're just greedy because you're building housing. Well, who is going to build it? Of course, they're going to want to make money in the process. Right. And that is an opportunity to make your request, to make it to blend into the community the best it can. And to get some accommodations to make it match. And those things happen. So great. There will be hearings. And this group, what I typically don't like is the way it's presented is like, well, they're standing up to prevent these terrible things from happening. Yeah. That's not the case. And just even the way the article's written, that's how it's written. No, they're standing up to make sure they get some accommodations for the community. And if you present it that way, I say, good for you. Go for it. Make it match our community the best it can.
Yeah. Okay. Well, great. I'm sure we'll hear a little bit more about that later. The next one is, so there's like a couple on this one. So couple things. Home prices keep rising. Not really big news, but specifically in Los Angeles, he's talking about the median price of an existing single-family home in LA metro area was $770,000 in March, up from $725,000 in February, and up from $680,000 1 year ago. City News Service reported. So, again, we always a lot of these stories we reference are national, but LA is a whole other world. The other thing that I thought was interesting here, Darren, is in Cypress Park, Homes for the Homeless are now scheduled to rise along the 500 block of Avenue 19, and it'll house 130 people. And it's let's see, 34 residential units, 4 beds per unit. Will be bound on all sides by West Avenue 19, the 110 freeway, and San Fernando Road and Riverside Drive near the roundabout.
Oh, got it.
Yeah. These state
Sounds
certified
accurate.
residential units will be larger than the 8-foot by 8-foot pallet homes of some tiny villages, instead measuring 12 by 28 feet. Wow. And will come fully equipped with kitchens, bathrooms, and living spaces, according to Mary Nimick with the city's Bureau of Engineering. Some of these units will also be hitched together to form a fourplex or a duplex. Oh, wow. The construction contract for the project was awarded Wednesday to Ford EC at a projected cost of $4,747,500. Construction is expected to finish in October. There you go.
Oh, that's fast. That's great.
Yeah.
Built off site, brought on, and just pour some foundation,
And
pull them down.
if my geography is hitting me right, that's a pretty perfect area for one, right? Not a lot of neighbors in that direction.
Fewer neighbors. It's more of an industrial area. It's somewhat near the Home Depot over there at Figueroa and San Fernando. And there are opportunities for expansion in that area because there are some very large industrial properties that are not of high use, and a couple that we've rented for some clients over there that have been converted from industrial buildings to residential buildings as well.
One thing I was going to mention, and I really haven't looked into it too hard, but I know in that right off Alvarado there's a new homeless village, kind of that Echo Park Silver Lake border. Again, I haven't really looked into it, but I imagine it's like some of the others, like in Highland Park, and I think there's one in Eagle Rock now. So
sure, there's one right off the freeway in Eagle Rock at Figueroa.
Finally, on this one, wanted to call out. Let's see here. What is it? Oh, Echo Park. The wooden framework of a senior affordable housing complex on Montana, just west of Echo Park Avenue, is nearly complete. Urbanize reported, when finished, the 5-story building will offer 64 apartments to households earning up to 30% of the area median income. Rents are expected to range from $591 to $633 a month.
Wow.
Yeah, that is a wow. So good for Echo Park and affordable housing. Let's see what else as we leaf through this thing. Okay. Taylor Yard Bridge. That's fairly recent. Hold on here. Picture looks great. Newest LA River Bridge for pedestrians and cyclists will link Cypress Park in Elysian Valley. So super cool. There are a number of bridges over there right now that are really great that cross the LA River. So
ironically, they spent some real money on a nice bridge that crossed over between Atwater and the bike path. You see it as you're going up the 5 before Colorado. And it wasn't community to community. It was one community to a biking path on the other side of the river, right by the freeway. This bridge and this location will be impactful, in my opinion, in those communities because it will bridge.
You're right. That other one looks great, but it is really far up there.
This is a much more valid bridge that will change some neighborhoods potentially and have people crossing over. Because there's a long span between there, all the way between, Figueroa to Fletcher, where you cannot cross over. Right. So this one's needed.
Cool. All right. So that's another one. Let's see. Our last one here. Let's see here. This is interesting. This was in Lincoln Heights. Hold on. And we've done some leases over in this area. So it is Lincoln Heights. 200 apartments and a food hall are hitting the market near Vincent de Paul Thrift Store. Barranca Studios at Barranca Street and San Fernando Road could revive this primarily industrial section of Lincoln Heights or smother the old neighborhood spirit, depending upon who you talk to. Look at that.
Right. So that's the same area that the tiny home village just went into. it's very close
right.
to it.
Yeah, just a
It's
block,
right there.
block or
We've been
two away.
watching that being built. It is across from the building that we've rented in previously.
Yeah.
So,
Let's
so
see here.
yeah,
Construction has begun, 5-story building along Johnson Street, 97 affordable apartments. Ground was broken for Brine Residential, a name inspired by the A1 Eastern Homemade Pickle Company that used to occupy part of the site. Mixed use development will also have 28,000 square feet of retail on the first floor. Wow, that's really going to change things there.
yeah. There is no retail. They've been building housing there, for sale housing, but no retail. So that will be impactful. I agree with you, Joe. Yeah,
Wow.
that's great.
Okay. So that is it for our news flash, our hyperlocal news flash. Again, check out the eastsiderla.com. We'll be pulling from other places like Urbanize, Los Angeles, The Real Deal, Biz Now, and some other local media sources to keep you informed about what's going on.